Hi and welcome to my first mummy themed video or parent themed video. So I thought I'd create this video because when sort of early on in January when I travelled to Bluestone in Pembrokeshire and down to London, I found it really difficult and really stressful trying to figure out what I was going to do with his bottles. So basically my son has been bottle fed pretty much since he was born. He didn't take to breastfeeding at all. So that was the plan, to breastfeed. So change of plan, we had to go out, get all the bottles and get all the formula and all the different things that he needed. And with formula, when you make it up, it's only good for 2 hours. So when you're travelling, it's very difficult, and especially because to make up the bottles you need freshly boiled water, because if you use water that's been boiled several times or kept at a boiling point like in Starbucks or somewhere like that, then what you'll find is all the oxygen's been boiled out of it, which is not good for them. So you need the oxygen in there, so it has to be freshly boiled water. And trying to find somewhere with a kettle, and that not you know, one of these machines that they have in Starbucks, like a barista machine and all these different types of things, can be very difficult. So my lovely mother-in-law came up with basically a couple of really good options, and as much as they may not be ideal for everyone, it's extra weight to carry and things like that, they were really effective for us. Now this wasn't so much for Bluestone, although this did help when we were out and about, but for, say, the train to London for us was about 2.5 hours, and if we'd taken a bottle, made it fresh, as we got to the train station, it would have lasted us until almost the end of the train journey. And what if he needed a feed, like, you know, just towards the end of the journey? It would have been no good because it would have been too old and just an absolute nightmare. So what my lovely mother-in-law came up with were two options, two solutions. The first one is a bag made by Coody, and it's called Fridge to Go Cool Anywhere, and that's this here. And basically what it is, it's a cool bag that fits 2 bottles in it. So I have a bottle of formula here, and I also have a empty Dr. Brown's bottle, because we always use this to make up the bottles, and then once they're warm, we transfer them to the Dr. Brown's. We don't keep them in the Dr. Brown's because they leak like crazy as soon as you try and heat up anything in them. It just comes out everywhere. They're absolutely awful. I wouldn't recommend them to anyone, but they are good for colic, which is why we have them. Anyway, inside the bag there are 4 pouches. So there's a pouch here, 1 on each side basically, and each one has a freezer pack in them. So what you do in the morning when you get up and you're ready to go somewhere, you take the freezer packs out of the freezer, you put in your bottles. So you could have 2 bottles of formula, which is what we did, and then we just took 2 sterile Dr. Brown's with us, empty ones, and then we sort of heated them up on the go. But what this does, this keeps bottles cool for up to 8 hours at less than 5 degrees, which is what it needs to be to keep their food from producing lots of bacteria and things like that. So we found this was a lifesaver, because the trip to London we had 2 bottles in here and they kept us going until we got to the hotel, and then in which case we made up a fresh bottle and we were good then, it was fine. So all the other bottles we made up on demand when we needed them, but this kind of kept us going. Oh, so good. And then when we were out and about in London in the day, we'd make up 2 bottles in the morning, we'd feed him like first, and then as soon as he was fed we'd go out and then we'd have 2 other feeds for us, and he's fed every 3 hours, so that would keep us going for at least 6 hours, which is amazing. So then the other trouble is if you want to heat up something on the go, you may not want to pop into Starbucks or Costa or whatever. You may not want to pop into anywhere and say, can I have a jug of water to warm up my bottle with? So my lovely mother-in-law also came up with this. So this is the solution by Tommee Tippee from their Closer to Nature range, and it's just a bottle warmer. So I mean, you could do this yourself. You could get a thermos of hot water and take some kind of jug with you. But this is just neat because it's all in one. So you undo it. This is what you put the bottle in and the hot water, which is the lid, which is just neat. And then here is what you put the hot water in. And I find the amount of water you put in here is enough to warm up 2 bottles, because you'll use about half to warm up 1 bottle. So it works really well with the cooler as well. It does get a bit heavy when you fill it full of water, so it did mean that the backpack we took with us to London was very heavy. But if you're out and about with a pram, for example, because we didn't take the pram with us, pram on a train, didn't seem like a good idea. But because we were taking a backpack, it didn't mean it was heavy. But with the pram, yes, okay, it does make it heavier again, but you're not carrying it yourself on yourself, so it's not too bad. And obviously this with the freezer packs in, you know, is not light either. But they were amazing, and they were just fantastic for travelling, because the trip to Pembrokeshire I wasn't too stressed about. I knew we'd be okay because we were going to have a house there, or a lodge, and a fridge and a microwave and all the different things that we'd need. But London was like, how are we going to do it? How are we going to sterilise everything? So what we also did is we took some Milton sterilising tablets with us, and we used cold water sterilisation. So we took our microwave Tommee Tippee steriliser with us, which was rather large to carry. And then what we did, we kept it in the bathroom with the lid shut, and we filled it full of the, because it can hold 5 litres, so it can hold as much as you need for the tablet to work. And then we just kept all the bottles in there, and it goes off every 24 hours, so you need to redo it every day, like around the same time. But it just meant every morning we'd get the bottles out of there we needed, we could fill them up for the food, put them in the bag, and that was great. We were done then. And the other thing was the freezer packs, keeping them frozen when we were there. Now we were staying in a travel lodge, and we asked the staff on reception if they wouldn't mind putting the cool, I can't even remember what they're called, the freezer things, ice packs. We asked them if they wouldn't mind putting the ice packs into their freezer, and they were lovely, and they said, yeah, you know, no problem at all. That was the travel lodge in Marylebone, I don't know how you say it, but yeah, but it was there. I think they had their own sort of staff freezer or fridge with a freezer compartment in it, so they put it in there, and I'd already wrapped it in a bag with their room number on and everything, so they knew whose they were, but they were lovely and they were more than happy to help. So that kind of took care of that, and I think if you're nice and you speak to the hotel that you're staying with, they're usually more than happy to help, especially when it comes to babies. Everyone seems to be happy to help because they know you're not trying to do anything for, you know, your own gain, or like, you know, you're not trying to like bring your own food to a restaurant sort of thing, which I know lots of people don't like. Yeah, so we found that was really helpful. So so the cool bag, amazing for 2 feeds, and if, like I said, if you're feeding every 3 hours, it's at least 6 hours you've given yourself then away from the hotel. Because what we did then is we went back to the hotel, so we'd go out for say 11, 12, and then we'd come back for say 5 or 6, and then we'd get the next feed sort of prepared and ready, or we'd be there ready for the last feed, because he gets fed like 5 times a day. And then the bottle warmer, of course, and no one would mind filling up the bottle warmer. If you do have to use the whole thing to, you know, to warm up a bottle, then, you know, you ask someone in a pub or in a cafe or whatever, and they're going to be more than happy to just give you some hot water, especially because, you know, it's for a baby, they won't mind. Yeah, but those 2 things together were really helpful, and then taking the microwave steriliser, which we put the cold water tablets in, the Milton tablets, so easy, so easy. I mean, yes, okay, maybe it wasn't easy, but it was just so much easier than trying to think up any alternatives. If he'd been breastfed, it would have been different. It would have been potentially easier because I could have just stopped, fed him. We wouldn't have to worry about sterilising, bringing a steriliser with us, bringing bottles with us, bringing Milton tablets with us, a way to warm stuff, a way to cool stuff. So much less hassle. But, you know, they're not the cards that we were dealt. It's the way it goes, and that's fine. But yeah, so my tips for you if you're travelling anywhere, especially if you're travelling somewhere with a hotel, for the journey there and back, and for when you're out in the day, the cool bag has been absolutely phenomenal. It's Koodi, spelled K-O-O -D-I. That was fantastic. And then the Tommee Tippee bottle warmer was really good as well. But again, you don't need this. You could take a thermos and some kind of container as well. That would work. And the Milton tablets and the steriliser. I think the steriliser is really important, I think, because it has a lid, so it keeps all the dust out and keeps things really actually sterile. And with the steriliser, it's got 2 sort of trays in it to help keep the bottles upright as well. So what we did, we left out the bottom tray, I think it was, or whatever. We brought the trays with us, but we didn't use them when we were sterilising. But we did put one on the top to help keep the weight of the bottles, to keep them under the water, to actually keep them like completely sterile. So like, you know, a bit of them wasn't poking up, which was then unsterile as well. So that was useful to bring those bits with us as well. So yeah, it might have been a lot of stuff to bring, but it worked for us, and he was fine. He didn't get any tummy bugs or anything from it. It all worked really well. But they're my top tips for if you're travelling with a bottle-fed baby, like we did. It certainly helped keep our stress at bay when we were there. Otherwise I don't know what we'd have done. We'd have, for every sort of 3 hours for every feed, we'd have struggled to find somewhere that has an actual kettle to boil the water fresh, emptied the kettle and, you know, done it properly, and then cool it, and it would have been a nightmare. But anyway, I hope you found this video useful. It's certainly the kind of thing I was looking for when we were looking for solutions, and we didn't find much out there that would help us, so hopefully this will help you. If you have any other suggestions for travelling with a bottle-fed baby, please leave them in a comment below, because it might help other people who have landed on this video who are looking as well. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and if you found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later.